Good evening, this is Andre Faust, and with me is blogger Charles Leblanc, otherwise known as the Pain in the Ass blogger. And tonight we're going to do something different, and I have the suicidal cat right beside me. You can see the tail there is trying to do everything to distract me, loves attention. Anyway, what we're going to do different tonight is that Charles and I are actually going to take two different positions. I'm taking the position, the affirmative side on smoking and the politics of smoking, and Charles is going to be taking the negative side of smoking. So we're going to be really like duking her out, just we're going to pick. Anyway, Charles is a reformed smoker, so we're going to start with that. What made you decide to give up the pack of cigarettes?
Well, first I started smoking when I was in the army. And the sergeant would say, instead of saying, take a break, go take a break, he'll say, well, can I have a smoke? Go have a smoke, go have a smoke. So I started smoking there. And as a former cyclist, I rode across Canada and the States and everything, and went on the chain. It was a pretty stupid habit to start. And as a kid, I had asthma. And then next thing you know, I smoked for 33 years. What happened is when I turned around, and cigarettes were expensive, but when I moved here from St. John, I met a couple of, I'm on social assistance, not proud of it, but that's the way it is. And I met a couple of Native friends, and I had cheap tobacco, and I had 4 cans of tobacco in the fridge. And for me, that's like when it was winning I just won the 649. And that wasn't good. So when I was laying down in bed, I had this little cough. And then I said, okay, do I want to die? Or do I want to continue to be the worst nuisance that society has ever seen? Decisions. And thank God I'm half Scottish. I quit smoking. That was in 2012.
So let me recapitulate. You rode a bike across Canada and United States. You were a smoker then.
No.
Oh, you weren't a smoker then?
No.
Okay.
No. I was in the Army after that trip, and I started smoking in the Army.
Okay, you started smoking in the Army. And then,
yeah, I was there for 8 months, that's all.
Okay, and then, and the reason why we're doing a recapitulation is because we've got some new people that's joined us, and they probably just caught part of the of your conversation. So, you were in the Army, and then what was it? You seen an angel pop up and go, whoa, geez, I've just got attacked. sorry for saying about the angel. Anyway,
you better watch it.
You had this revelation that you should quit smoking.
Yeah, like I told you, I had, if I wanted to keep on, did I want to die, or do I want to keep on being the worst nuisance that society has ever seen? When I was laying down in bed, I was coughing, so I decided to quit smoking. That was 2012.
And you've been on a campaign since on... quit smoking. I mean, you like to grab les musiques québécois and tar and feather them for them smokers.
No, but I mean, I wasn't really preaching. I mean, there's nothing worse than us reformed smokers. And what really opened my eyes is when my friend that used to live upstairs, Myra Stewart, when she died of lung cancer. And Myra and me were very close. And I told her, I said, you have a cough. There's a little cough, deep cough. And then she was wheezing. And she told me, sorry, but quote, she told me, fuck off. There's nothing she hated more was a reformed smoker. And we fought. And at the end, she got lung cancer 5 years later. And she died last summer before. And she told me in her deathbed, what do you got to say to smokers that smoke? She said, don't be stupid.
And that happened.
And it was too late. She's dead.
And
So I began, that really bothered me. So then I really go to YouTube, right? Charles Leblanc, 57. You'll see a video I made the day that she died. And I decided I was really bad for about 6, 7 months. I really, really preached to people to listen, don't be stupid, quit smoking.
And that's what that is one of the things that is very, very unsettling. I knew Myra too, and it was a tragedy when she passed on. But even going back when everything changed was back in the '60s when the what do they call them in the United States? Surgeon General come up and said that there was a
General surgeon.
Yeah. When he came and said that there was a correlation between cancer and cigarette smoking, and the key word there is correlation. It's not correlation does not necessarily mean cause and effect. Now, you're quite familiar with insurance companies, right?
Mm.
They're in the business to make money, right?
Mm.
They don't like to pay out. They definitely don't like to pay out. Well, they have the mortality figures. They know the lifestyle that you live and the health that you are. So they already know that. And they've come up with some nice figures in that. And to give an example, I can't mention the names, but this is a real life story. This couple, they both got a life insurance through the same broker, and the whatever you call the brokers come to their place, and both had to fill out little questionnaires. 2 years difference between the two, and both are up there in age. And anyway, she filled out her forms, and the guy filled out his form, and but of course the guy said he was a smoker, and she outlined some of her health conditions, and then, of course, in these type of life insurances, you have to give consent for the doctor to connect with your family doctor, and then there's the doctor.
You're gonna lose me, Andre. Get to the point.
And I'm working on your ADHD. So
No,
anyway, the end of the thing is that the female non-smoker was rejected for the insurance policy, and the smoker was. And the insurance company is there to make money. So I believe their figures. Now, see, what bothers me is I've seen the change from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. When I was a student, you could smoke in class and not in high school. This was at the university level.
Fred Flintstone was encouraging to smoke. He made commercials, him and Barney. Those were the days.
Those were the days. But all these, evils that were being talked about, and especially the one that bothered me the most, I guess, was that the fear tactic that they used on cancer. Now, before I come on and did this, our argument, I checked out, the figures on cancer rates, and I looked at several different parameters. And the cause of cancer is age. A person 1-year-old is least likely to get cancer than a person 2-year-old, and you keep on going up the age spectrum. And you get to a point, 65 and above, where the frequency of cancer is almost exponential. So it's age is the thing that seems to trigger the cancer cells. I don't know if you've ever had dogs. I've had quite a slew of them in my tender life, and this freaking cat keeps messing up my lighting. Maybe I should roll him up and smoke him or something. He effectively distracted me. But yeah, it's this, using this fear factor with, cancer and cigarette smoking. There's other components that are involved here. There's genetics.
Smoking is connected to any health issues.
But
if you smoke, if you're a diabetic and you smoke, it's going to put it worse. If any disease is going to put it worse. Personally, if I was a doctor and a person wants to look at a patient, says, "Are you a smoker?" Yes, I am. I would say, you want to kill yourself, go somewhere else.
I'm just going to flash a photo there. Since you're mentioning doctors, this is one of the 1960s advertisements, so this is going to come up.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know, that was
that was in the 60s.
those type of ads. Now there's
Now,
now
doctors, those type of ads, now the companies, which it was proven, we didn't have DNA in those days. We didn't have x-rays, or maybe we had, but we're not as high tech as we are now. And the companies, they make commercials. They made a deal, billions of dollars for what, a year, 2 years. They said smoking will kill you. It's not Carmel, oh, the doctor smokes and all that. No, those days are gone.
but that's
The cigarette companies, is that Asperger's clicking in there? Cigarette companies are telling you our products will kill you.
yes. I mean, you know, like I'm not arguing, you know, that it doesn't do any damage. You know, I mean, if we want to.
How old are you, Andre? You look about 85.
Ooh, my back. Well, no,
because of smoking.
I was told that I couldn't smoke and dive at the same time. I dove and smoked for 10 years, and you know, no issues at all. Genetics plays a big part. You know, related to that, on my mom's side, we come from Asbestos, Quebec, and of course, we know that asbestos is, you know, is supposed to be very harmful. But her brothers all worked in the asbestos mine, and they all lived a natural lifespan. Other people in the communities were dropping off earlier in life, and the only explanation is the genetic component to it. But the direction that I'm trying to get into is how we as a society have started to demonize that lifestyle. Those same people that shit on smokers will be out there, you know, saying no to, fracking, no to pipelines because of all the bad stuff that, you know, that happens. But
let's talk about the natives. They say, okay, the connection to tobacco. During the ceremonies, they use tobacco. Unfortunately, now it's not tobacco. The majority is chemicals.
well, yeah,
It's to hook you. It's to hook you. And once you're hooked, they got you.
I agree with you in part on that point on the hook. But that's the whole capitalistic system.
You slow down smoking. You slow down, and then you rode a bicycle this past spring. Didn't you find out when you slow down smoking while riding your bicycle that you could breathe better?
No, no. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that tomorrow that, you know, I won't develop cancer, but you know, those same people. Excuse me, when I was talking earlier on the anti-fracking, I was thinking something else. The people that you know, so, you know, on one hand will say, you know, smoking is bad, demonize the smoker, throw them out of the community. Those people will then go and say, yeah, we got to have that fracking well. We've got to have that pipeline. We've got to have, you know, all this shit going into the air because of jobs. Now, isn't that an inconsistency? How can you take both sides?
No, that's a total different issue. That's a total different.
No. It's not a total different issue, because what we're talking about, okay, cyanide, right? Whether the cyanide comes out of a damn cigarette or it comes out of the back of a car, it's still cyanide. It's still cyanide. And
Or when marijuana is going to be legalized, October 17, all that filthy smoke is going to be around. That's worse than tobacco. And it's still,
The only way that
that's another issue. That's another issue.
I'll
But it's smoke coming into your lungs, into your system, that's going to kill you.
well, it's strange that you say that because, all right, we'll say secondhand pot smoke, right? I'm sitting there, do, and there's a whole whack of pot smokers, and I'm walking by, and I get stoned, completely smoked out of my head, and I'm seeing little, Mickey Mouse running in front of me, because this is really good shit, right, man? And, of course, I'm not thinking anything about it. I don't even realize that I gotten stoned. I get into my vehicle, I get nailed for driving while impaired by either a drug or an alcohol, right? That's going to open up something very interesting in the courts of law because you have this thing called mens rea, the guilty mind, having the guilty intent of committing the crime. But hey, I was just walking down Queen Street and walked by these people, and I freaking got all buzzed out.
Okay, that's another. That's another issue. But the smoking part.
You're the one.
I was talking to a guy from Lebanon today. Do you know how much a pack of cigarette costs in Lebanon?
35 cents.
85.
85.
85 cents. And this thing here, the cheapest brand you could buy. This costs $16.05.
Yeah.
And July 1st is going to go up to $20.
Yeah.
It's all government tax. Now, if you love the government and you want to support the government, start smoking.
Look,
because the government loves you.
The government's no different than the heroin dealer, the coke dealer. They understand addictions. People are addicted. They'll steal, they'll kill, they'll go to jail to support their addictions. The government is actually exploiting the addiction. It doesn't stop or slow anybody down. I mean, it's just a way to make additional money. And this is the thing I'm trying to get back about the functional side of demonizing the smoking, because look at the stakeholders, right? You've got Canadian Lung Association. Well, geez, for them to really come hard against it's really good, because that gives some ammunition for the government to say, hey, look, that group is saying it's really, really bad, so we got to tax you because you're hurting yourself and whatnot. Meanwhile, the Canadian Lung Association gets a whack of money and grants back from the government. Hey, there's a kind of a little reciprocity there, right?
I take the bottom line: if people are smarter than they were in the 60s and the 70s. That's why I always carry this bottle of water. This is my conversation piece. People are used to have a conversation. It could be vapor. October 17 is going to be a joint. Everybody wants to have smoke while having a conversation. This should be your conversation, and that's it. Water, and you could spray them around if they really bothers you. But you get a punch in the head because they cost about $20 a pack. But for a person to really, really, like my friend Myra upstairs, she stayed inside much of the time. She never went out too much. And I told her, the cigarette, I open the windows before I go to bed. That secondhand smoke, the smoke stays inside your place. And I was doing the same thing here for a while. But you can just imagine, you go to bed and that cigarette, the chemicals, it's not tobacco. There's absolutely no benefit whatsoever to be outside minus 40 wind chill and have a goddamn puff chemicals. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you're exactly right. You're at the hospital, you're sick, and they say, okay, and that exact environment that you're talking about, when you go out and have your cigarette. The person is an addict, and they'll go out, and then they get sicker because the hospital would not allow them to smoke inside the building. You see, people will behave like you made a choice, and that was a private, personal decision, and that's fine. I mean, but we're getting into now where we're starting to demonize people because of lifestyle, Maybe because we're replacing it with the marijuana behaviors. But we're effectively.
When I see it, go, go ahead.
Yes, because there's a part two to this here. Okay, once we start crossing over into lifestyles, because the arguments are, well, the cost of the healthcare, blah blah, woof woof. And again, you know, the only good science there is about smoking is the pulmonary functions. And from smoking, yes, you do damage the alveoli of the lungs. You scar them, and eventually, for some people, it'll cause critical lung failure. That's good science. The data's there, the profile between non-smokers and smokers, no debate. But once we start getting into lifestyle, the next one is obesity. Now, I'm talking about self-induced.
Yes, that is true.
Self-induced obesity.
Yeah.
Those people that are.
Now, if you quit smoking, I'll admit I gained about 50 pounds, and people on my blog, there were these anonymous coward jerk face that I called. Say, oh, you fat bastard, you fat. I said, I'm not fat. What are you talking about? And next thing you know, I weighed myself, and next thing you know, I wasn't fat. I said, holy Jesus, bread, peanut butter, pop. They had to be replaced by something else. And I'm going to tell you something. Again, the water, but if you go like this, that's no good. You just need something, squirt. And I tell you, when the cops raided this place, I quit smoking 3 months earlier. And the cops raided this place and falsely accused me to be a pedophile, exploiting children for sex. We're not going to get into that. But, of course, it wasn't true. If it was true, we wouldn't be talking about it. But if that would have been an excuse for me to restart smoking, that was the biggie. And if I didn't start smoking, anybody can. Drink water. You do a lot of pissing, but drink water.
Yeah, but I don't want to quit smoking.
I want to quit smoking, the way you will die. You will die.
That's the thing, is that I don't want to quit smoking. And what and I've heard all the arguments to why how much I tax. And then of course smoking is a lifestyle behavior.
You're three quarters dead. We're talking about the young people. That's 19, 20, 21. That should know better.
Yes, but
it costs. They got a job. They got to find a job to be able to afford cigarettes. And right now, the underground is making so much money. Those Indian cigarettes. They pay what, $40 for 200 cigarette, and you don't know where those tobacco, where it's been, is on the floor. There's no such thing as good chemical tobacco. But these youths, they have to learn that these vapors, is everything, is cool. Drink water. Tell the government to, and live.
I'm going to try to
don't be like Andre Faust.
No, let me.
Oh, look, you're coughing now.
No, you're pissing me off.
Again.
Again. But I told you I was going to use the F word, right? Again. No, but what I'm starting to get at is this demonizing people on their lifestyle. Now we have people who what I call self-induced obesity, and you never come close to that. But when they get their biomass at 30, 33 plus weight,
pretty bad.
Now what happens with the obese person is a lot of problems happen. The pancreas starts to let go, they get into the diabetes, the liver doesn't tend to do well, the heart doesn't do well. It's very costly, but that's okay, because that group still costs the health system as much, if not more, than a smoker. And again, I'm going to go back to the genetic component. Some people are just in certain things genetically sound. Some people are resistant to some diseases. We've even seen that through the AIDS. Some people would contract AIDS, and others wouldn't, because certain groups had something genetically in them that prevented them. So you can't condemn a person who has a genetic advantage over another. That same person may also have a genetic disadvantage in another area too.
I think that person that eats a bag of Lay's potato chip, which I think that's equal to the smoking addiction, because these chips, we're talking about that, and me and a guy this afternoon, he works for the federal government, and he was hooked on these chips. And it's lifestyle. You want to watch TV, you want to go on Facebook, you want to listen to the bullshit of Andre Faust and Charles Leblanc and eat some chips, well, that's your lifestyle. But you don't see people go outside and eat a bag of chips. They go outside or inside smoke a cigarette. And after you eat the chips, okay, no problem. I mean, you're going to gain, no problem. But the cigarette smoke inside, the secondhand smoke is always around. The chips, and you're eating that, but at least it goes down.
Okay, we've got about 2.5 minutes left. But on that note, speed bumps many years ago tried this. The way they tried to combat, because they knew that drinking and smoking worked very well together, and they created a bar within a bar, and it was called Oxygen. And they spent a lot of money on filters and whatnot, and you could not go into that room with a cigarette. That room was totally, set aside for non-smokers, and but you could see inside it because it was all glass, right? And geez, the poor bartender, I don't know if you remember the old Maytag ads where he's sitting there and he's all lonely by himself. Well, this is what the bartender was like at speed bumps in the Oxygen side of the thing. Meanwhile, on the other part, where the smokers are, they're all grooving and boogieing and having a great time, right? Tipping the waiters, their waiters, the smoking waiters walked away with a lot of tips, and the poor old person in the non-smoking zone of speed bump, it just didn't happen. And when that transition happened, that also hurt the bars a lot. And
Tim Horton, remember when they said, how the hell is Tim Horton going to survive when they stop people from smoking inside? Oh my God, it's the end of the world. We survived.
Well, right now, what's happened, right, is that how the bars have gotten around it during that same period of time. There was a change where the VLT machines could be before they were in grocery stores. Then they moved them into the bars. Now, what happened then was that a lot of bars sprang up, but they were small bars, and their focus wasn't really on selling booze. It was on the machines. And again, out of, not to basically rat any one business here in Fredericton, I've been told by several bar owners is that those VLT machines is what paid the operations of their business. And that. So we now run out of time there, Charles. Any last closing final messages and words of wisdom to the youth?
The bottom line is this: if you have a product like tobacco, and in a capitalist system, the company that promotes this smoking, and then they say that our products will kill you. It will kill you. Not maybe, it will kill you. So if you want to kill yourself and you support the government, start smoking and give all your money away, and you will die. And Andre, you have me beat. No, I'm not gonna say. It's okay.
I know how much longer I have.
Yeah. Okay. The details. Asperger, just details.
My final words onto that is that the demonizing of smoking is also a breach of democracy, because whether one agrees or not with the concept, smoking companies can't even argue back and present their arguments anymore, because it's now illegal for them to do so, because it's seen as promoting the product.
They did in court.
And that it was a court decision, yes, but
many court for billions of dollars.
But
Billions,
that was control. I mean, myself as an individual, I should be allowed to make the decisions to, if I want to assume the risk of life and death, that should be my choice, not some friggin' boneheaded. It's like welfare, right? You know, it's a third party that decides whether you're in a common law relationship or not, even though you might not be. But if you behave in a certain way, a third party is the one who makes that decision. Well, that shouldn't happen in that situation, and it shouldn't happen in the smoking situation. And thanks for coming on board, because this is one of the first good knockdown dragouts that we've had.
Build yourself an underground bunker and stay there with your cigarette.
Thank you very much. I will, and it will be velvetly lined. Thanks again, Charles. Till next time.